A breakdown of Carrie Bradshaw and Mr. Big's toxic relationship. If we look at the duo of Carrie and the Dream Man from a psychological perspective, we see a mix of codependent, Carrie, and a counterdependent relationship, Mr. Big. Codependency is a condition characterized by deep absorption and intense emotional, social or even physical dependence on another person. Such people do not feel like themselves without a partner, may seem weak, vulnerable, absorbed in worrying about their soulmate, constantly blaming themselves, passionately striving for intimacy and trust. Counterviolence is a pattern of avoidance of intimacy. Simply put, it is a dependence on independence. The essence of these two phenomena is the same, a failure in the attachment system. Our protagonists are like two planets drawn to each other, but in the end the Big Bang is irreversible. Two polarities coexist in this relationship, but they are both dependent. In Carrie's behavior we can trace the basic signs of codependency, a sense of powerlessness. She cannot break up a relationship that brings her pain. The need for an external stimulus as a distraction from her own feelings and emotions, her love of shoes, even if she can't afford them. Need for approval and support, her sense of self is directly dependent on her partner, and eventually Carrie puts up with the humiliation, defends Mr. Big to her friends, keeps in touch with him after the breakup and then gives him a chance again, even when he marries someone else. Carrie seeks intimacy at any cost, always needing affirmation of her feelings, manipulation, far-fetched arguments over nothing. This is despite the fact that the man is honest with her. She has her limits and says straight out that happily ever after marriages are not his story. For Carrie, these facts just fly by. There is a belief that she will change him and, like all codependents, can control him. She has created a perfect love fantasy, and every time when the man of her dreams destroys that beautiful illusion with his behavior, the rose-colored glasses fall off little by little, and the relationship takes a dramatic turn. Our heroine initially understands that such a story is not for her. However, Carrie is never determined to break up the relationship. How many mornings of brunch were spent on the man of her dreams, weighing and analyzing with her girlfriends, but the result remained the same. Mr. Big is the other side of the coin. He has a very great fear of being consumed. He simultaneously asks for love and is unable to take responsibility for a mature relationship. The counterdependent person is characterized by involvement in relationship building. He tries, takes the time, whenever possible, correspondence, calls, dinners together, but at some point he breaks down, he stops communicating or disappears altogether. There is rejection. Then sometimes she may reappear, claiming herself, wandering in the throes of intimacy and distance. He is essentially dependent on his own independence. The only thing the main characters have in common is the opposite desire for intimacy and a state of dependence. They both avoid openly clarifying conflicts, initially showing only comfortable experiences and feelings. Both have a hard time with healthy intimacy, it scares them very much. Therefore, subconsciously choose partners, with whom it is initially impossible to build a stable relationship. In a healthy and mature relationship, they both get bored, cramped and anxious. For example, when Carrie was with Aiden, they were stable, reliable and honest. She was even uncomfortable with the fact that he always had time for her. As a result, she finds herself in bed with the man of her dreams. For her, the stress of being in a healthy relationship is extreme. There are no skills to identify and process those feelings. It is easier for Carrie to sleep with someone else and ruin the good things she has by punishing herself with guilt, shame, fear, anxiety, anger, because such feelings are closer and more familiar to her. She needs drama to make the relationship work. For most of the season, she walks around hand in hand with Mr. Big and immature emotional attachment. Anyway, let's continue to admire Sex and the City, because it's filled with some pretty profound and vivid moments, and look forward to the promised sequel. But let's not forget that a serial relationship is just a script.